Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing translation of Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 2 from text 23. The soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor can be burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. All kind of weapons, swords, flames, rains, tornadoes, etc. are unable to kill the spirit soul. It appears that there were many kinds of weapons made of earth, water, air, ether, etc. In addition to the modern weapons of fire, even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons. But formerly there were other weapons were also made different types of material elements. Firearms were counteracted by water weapons, which are now known to modern science. Nor do modern scientists have the knowledge of tornado weapons. Nonetheless, the super soul can Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of the scientific devices. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual soul from the original soul. The Mayavadi, however, cannot describe how the individual soul evolved from the ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusionary energy, because they are atomic individual souls. Eternally, they are prone to be covered by the illusionary energy, and thus they have separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the spark of the fire, although one is quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire. In the Varaha Purana, the living entity are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They are eternally so, according to the Bhagavad-Gita also. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains as a separate identity, as it is evident from the teachings of Lord to Arjuna. Arjuna becomes liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never becomes one with Krishna. Text 24. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, all pervading, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. All this qualification of an atomic soul definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of the spirit whole, and he remains the same atom eternally without change. The theory of monoism is very difficult to apply in this case, because the individual soul is never expected to become one homogeneously. After liberation from material contamination, that atomic soul may prefer to remain as a spiritual spark in the effluent rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the intelligent soul enters into the spiritual planets to associate with the Personality of Godhead. The word Sarvagata, all pervading, is significant because there is no doubt that living entities are all over God's creation. They live on the land, in the water, in the air, within the air, and even with the fire. The belief that they are sterilized in fire is not acceptable, because it is clearly stated here that the soul cannot be burned by fire. Therefore, there is no doubt that there are living entities also in the sun planet with suitable bodies to live there. If the sun globe is uninhabited, then the word Sarvagata, living everywhere, becomes meaningless. Text 25 translation. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, immutable, and unchangeable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. As far as the soul existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experientially beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of a superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no other source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no other source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experiential knowledge. The soul is conscious and the conscious, consciousness and the conscious. And also in the statement of Vedas, and we have to accept that unlikely the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in the comparison to the infinite super soul. The supreme soul is infinite and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul or supreme personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in a different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of the same thing is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without an error. Text 26, translation and explanation. If, however, you think that the soul is perpetually born and always dies, still you have no reason to lament, O mighty arm. There is always a class of philosophers almost akin to the Buddhists who don't believe in the separate existence of the soul beyond the body. When Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad-Gita, it appears that such philosophers existed and they were known as the Lokayatikas and Vaibhayakitas. These philosophers maintain that the life symptoms or soul takes place at certain mature condition of a material combination. The modern material scientists and materialist philosophers also think similarly. According to them, the body is a combination of physical elements, and at certain stage, the life symptoms are developed by interaction of physical and chemical elements. The science of anthropology is based on this philosophy. Currently, many pseudo-religions now becoming fashionable and adhering to the philosophy, as well as a nihilistic non-devotees Buddhist sects. Even if Arjuna did not believe in the existence of soul, as in the Vaibhashika philosophy, there would still have been no cause for lamentation. No one laments the loss of certain bulk of chemicals and stops discharging his prescribed duty. On the other hand, in modern science and scientific warfare, so many tons of chemicals are wasted for achieving victory over the enemy. According to this philosophy, the so-called soul or Atma vanishes along with the deterioration of the body. So in any case, whether Arjuna accepted the Vedic conclusion that there is an atomic soul, or whether he did not believe the existence of the soul, he had no reason to lament. According to this theory, since there are so many living entities generating out of matter every moment, and so many of them are being vanquished every moment, there is no need to grieve for such an incident. However, since he was not risking rebirth of the soul, Arjuna had no reason to be afraid of being affected with the sinful reactions due to killing of his own grandfathers and teachers. But at the same time, Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as a Mahabahu, mighty arm, because he at least did not accept the theory of the Vaibhasikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna belonged to a Vedic culture and it behooved him to continue to follow its principles. Text 27. Translation. For one who has taken his birth, death is certain, and for one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore, it is unavoidable discharge of your duty. You should not lament. One who has to take birth according to one's activities of the life, and after finishing one terms of activities, one has to die to take a birth for the next. In this way, the cycle of birth and death is revolving, one after the another without liberation. This cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The battle of Kurukshetra is being the will of Supreme was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should he be afraid for an aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of a sinful act, of which he was so afraid. by avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to the selective selection of the wrong path of action. That concludes the text 27 of chapter 2 Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, written by Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much and keep listening. Thank you.